Welcome back to our review of Atlanta Goes to Europe and Crazy White Shenanigans. This is the Curry Gumbo Podcast with Nicole and Ashley. Episode 4, these white people.
They got to pay their
Episodes 1 and 2, where the white people would kill you. Episode 3 is these white people, kind of suspicious, be careful. Episode 4, go get these white people.
Yeah, so we are following Marshall
Johnson.
And you should have known that your family has some slaves. Johnson is the blackest name ever, okay? You should have known. But anyway, so he's in line to get a cup of coffee. I really want to talk about this opening scene.
Yes.
He's in line to get a cup of coffee. He is listening to this somewhat problematic podcast. I was like, what are they talking about? Like, it's just, whenever I hear white people use the term wild as it relates to people, I'm like, I don't like this.
They were talking about animals, something about animals,
but they were likening that to speech in humans.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, what? I could be remembering this incorrectly. Like, please forgive me.
It was something about the wild, like the language of the animals is now referred to as language or something.
I don't know, but they were talking about that as this black man was on the phone talking. The black man in front of him was talking. And so I was like,
because he's listening to his AirPods to this podcast, we can't decipher what everyone else around him is doing. He's in line. This black man in front of him is speaking on the phone. Sounds a little bit like loud. Like, I don't know if he was
he seems upset to me.
He was upset about
like something is not right here. And when I say that, I mean something is going wrong in his life that maybe he's trying to resolve. But this scene felt like a micro version of the larger story, right? Because the server asked that black man who's in line before this white man, says like, get back in line. And Marshall, I'll take your order. She doesn't use his name, but I'm just trying to make things less confusing. But she asks for Marshall's order, tells the black man to get in line. Marshall's looking confused, like, you can go.
Yeah.
He says, no, it's cool. Now, I'm wondering why Marshall didn't say anything to the server. Like, what's going on? Why does he have to get out of line? What's happening? Why didn't he persist more? And why did you steal the Madeleines out of that goddamn?
That's what I said. You stealing cookies, really? We stealing
the
cookies.
Madeleines. And your theft, you're not thinking of it as a negative thing. You're not thinking of it as a serious thing. You're not thinking of it as something that has consequences. So he leaves the store, he drives off, and there's a car that looks like it's following him. And I was like, wait, is that the black guy who's about to follow him?
I thought it was the black guy too.
What's going on? But it ain't. So he goes to pick up his daughter. You can tell that there is, he's separated from his wife. He drops his daughter off at school.
Mm-hmm. Then he goes to work.
And it seems like the court case that is on everybody's mind, because it's when he's in his car, he's listening to it on the radio. A black man sues the CEO of Tesla because he has documentation that Tesla guy's ancestors enslaved his family. So he's like, you got to come up off of some of that money.
Yeah, well, the point is they use the funds for the company.
Yes.
So that's what the lawsuit is. Like, he has proof that the funds from enslaving my ancestors were used to fund this company. So Marshall gets to work, and we can tell it's a mostly white office. At first, I'm like, are there any black people who work here? Like, are we still in Atlanta? First, I was like, are we still in Atlanta? Because it's mighty white over here. Like, where are we? There's a meeting. There might be some layoffs soon.
Mm-hmm.
The talk in the office is because this black man won this case against this Tesla CEO, that more cases are coming up like this and more white companies are going to be owing Black people. And you kind of get the sense that whatever this company that they work for, that this is probably the same thing happened to them. So they're all looking up their ancestry, trying to figure out if they if their ancestors owned any slaves. And so you hear people being like, okay, I'm Ashkenazi Jewish. Okay, I'm clear. His coworkers are asking Marshall, do you know your ancestors? And are you concerned? And he's just like, first he's blowing off like, no, like not really.
Why do you think he was blowing that off?
Hungarian.
Do you think that he didn't assume it was an issue because he himself is not a rich man? And so he's like, surely my ancestors had nothing to do with this horrible establishment, because my life isn't, peaches and balloons and champagne and richness.
Well, he kept mentioning he was Hungarian and that they were enslaved as well, but hey. So I guess he didn't associate himself with, I guess, I don't know if typical whiteness is a word.
Did you like this episode?
It was interesting.
I just felt like it was for white people.
I mean, yeah.
I didn't feel like the other episodes are for white people.
The first one,
I don't feel like that was, yes, but
Mama, you said like we didn't really need to see that.
I really didn't need to see it, but what I can say is I appreciate how they changed the story of that young boy. And we followed that young boy. I don't need to see no white character be the lead in Atlanta ever in life.
Well, okay, so what's interesting about this one is it brings up the question about reparations. What would happen? What does that look like?
It seemed like I'm sorry, I could go ahead.
Go ahead.
It seemed like what they was trying to position to white people is that you want to support reparations being a government issue, because we gonna start coming after private citizens. That could be, we can come after your paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So what you need to do is support reparations that the government will hand out.
I really didn't see the point in going after private white citizens, because I'm like, okay, because towards the end, you're garnishing 15% of a server. Like, who needs that? What is that going to do?
Yeah.
Like, how's that helpful?
It's going to do something. It's trying to fix the balance. And you never know, like I'm wondering, like, why doesn't he still have his job?
Because they were laying off, like in the first.
But they didn't lay him off. Like, should we just assume that he was laid off?
I'm assuming that because they said we're going through layoffs, and usually layoffs come in like first, second, third waves, depending on how serious it is. Maybe he passed the first wave, and it got to the point where it was like, everybody got to go now.
Yeah. That's understandable. I wanted to see more Shaniqua, but I am a Black woman who enjoys like seeing Black women on TV. And so I guess I just wanted to see her be a little bit more complicated, a little bit more nuanced, because all we got of her for the most part was, you owe me money. You about to, my kids gonna like this house. Oh, you got a 3-bedroom. Oh, that's it. Like, that's all we got.
Yeah, I didn't like Shaniqua too much.
And that's the thing. Like, I can see her being like, this is annoying. You are annoying to people. But why didn't you like her too much?
So to back up, Shaniqua is the person that's following Marshall from his job to his kids' school to everywhere. I don't know. It just seemed too stereotypical. Like, of course, she she's impressed with his little small apartment. It's like,
Mm,
this dude live in an apartment. Like,
mm,
come on now.
mm.
And then, of course, you have all her family out in the front of his apartment. And then she saying, "Oh, you probably make more money than me." Like, he worked in a basic office with a cubicle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he didn't come off as wealthy. He came off as pretty regular. And so it's like, I don't know. I was just like,
The only
why?
time where I said, okay, this is the Shaniqua that I want to see is when he looks on Instagram and he can see her with her children and she's like playing with them. I was like, okay. And it's not that it's like that's the positive. It can be negative. It can
Yeah.
be negative. It just can't be one note, you know?
Yeah.
Like it when she goes to his job and she's like, how much do you make? Like, if I could offer some pushback, because I really appreciated how she was like, well, how much do you make? And he was like, I'm not rich. Like, girl, what are you talking? And she's like, well, I bet you make more than me. And I bet that's the case.
Yeah.
I bet that's the
I believe
case.
that.
So it seems like now her being out there with her family and friends, like barbecuing outside of his house.
And then her nephew running down his car. I'm like,
Yeah,
come
I'm
on
like, you
now.
could get your nephew hurt. Like, this isn't what I was, if I'm being generous, what I'm trying to read that as is she is going to, when she comes into her new wealth, she is going to share that wealth with her people. She's not going to hoard it. If
Yeah,
I'm
but
being
well,
nice,
like we saw, she getting 15% of a server. Like,
we don't know how this worked out. So maybe she got a lump sum and he has to pay that lump sum back. I don't know, but but also like getting that from the server, like I said, it's something. It will help. Something is going to help. And I don't know. I do see what you're
I
saying.
don't like the whole, well, it's better than nothing. To me,
Yeah.
if you're gonna make a story or a fantasy about this is what reparations can look like for Black people, make it some real reparations.
Yeah.
Like, instead of being like they had the scene where all the Black people at the gas station filling up their tank. Like, really?
And yes. And Black people know what to do with money. Black people,
Yes.
like, not every Black person is about to spend it on Cadillacs and shit. And so that's
Oh.
another thing. I was like, huh? Like, you got people talking about, oh, I'm gonna get her a new car,
Oh
me a new
yeah, how many
car.
cars I'm gonna get? What type of new car you want?
Like, what you gonna do with your money? Like, on the
Realistically,
radio, what you gonna do with your money? Oh, I'm gonna buy this. Like, I feel like there are Black people who want to organize and move in a way that is going to create generational wealth and generational health. And so the show,
so let's bring us to real life. I've Okay, so I do listen to the radio in the morning, Ricky Smiley, and they had a question about people getting their stimulus checks. What you do with your stimulus check? There was so many people saying they bought a house, they started a business.
mm-hmm,
Main two answers: bought a house, started a business, paid off debt, vacation.
yeah,
It's like, if you want to talk about, that's what Black people are doing with extra money that's coming in.
yeah. Now,
So that
man,
part
we
I was
went
in the
shopping.
show.
And don't get me wrong, there are people who are doing that. And it's
Yeah,
not, but it's the point that we're making is that it's not because they Black. It's because
right.
you always gonna have some foolish person, or maybe somebody who can, like, there are people out here who don't need that stimulus check, didn't need none of them. It was like, oh, I just got my kids, put it in the fund
In a
so I
savings
can
account, yeah.
get them, more presents during the Christmas time. Like, so
No, but my point is, what I'm saying is that if you want to talk about real life, I guess the stimulus check it was not reparations, but if you want to talk about people getting a large sum of money and what they do with that money, there was so many people starting businesses and
yeah,
buying homes with that money.
yeah. And so it seemed like this fantasy wasn't.
It wasn't a fantasy. It's
It
like
wasn't.
towards the end, okay, the white people are gonna be working at a black-owned restaurant. I can do without that. Like, that's not.
And was it black owned? The manager was white.
I guess that's my assumption. All of the black, there's a lot of black patrons at this.
There were a
restaurant.
lot of black patrons and a lot of white servers on the bus. The bus driver.
The bus driver was white.
You know, so they are taking on more of these service-based jobs. Who this for? Who is it for?
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna make a reparation story, like I can think of a better one.
And I mean,
let the black person who owns
it don't matter what they
job.
would have said. We would have been here to critique it. You hear me?
Show me who owned Marshall's company now.
Yeah. Show me the people making moves with the cash, but perhaps
show me more black people in the office, because then it was like, oh, all the black people left. That's what they said. There was like, when they went back to work, it was like, oh, where are all the black people? Like, oh, they left. It's only just the 2 black men in the office now.
Yeah.
So it's like, what they doing?
Child, I'm ready to be with Ern, Van, Al, and Darius.
Yeah.
I don't need these outside episodes. I'm ready to be with my niggas now.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary. Would you want to know who enslaved your ancestors?
Yes.
You care to know? Like, what would you do with that information?
I would have
just
that
to say,
information.
You know?
I would have that information.
No, just to have it, just to
have it. I don't know what I would do with it. And I'm assuming, like, don't we all kind of, like, I'm assuming it's some.
I don't know if I need to know the person's name, because it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to look them up on Facebook and like stalk them like Shaniqua?
No, but I mean, you could also like have a dialogue with them.
I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that.
I mean, I don't know if I want to do that either, but I would want to know. I bet you would want to know if it was the CEO of Disney.
No, that's true.
You'll be like, money. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Class action lawsuit. That's the other thing, because at the end when he was like, oh, he has to garnish his wages to Shaniqua, I'm sure your grandparents own more than one slave. Like,
hello?
Not even make sense.
And enslaved people, because we got to get away from the word slave.
Oh yeah,
enslaved people cost a cute little penny. So not everybody had slaves, but a good chunk of y'all motherfuckers did.
No, but they had more than one.
And you probably had more than one.
It brought about an interesting conversation. I mean, people have been having this conversation forever. Like, what does reparations look like? Not this, I'll tell you that.
The guy in the hotel, was that the guy from Lake Lanier?
I didn't put that together.
You know, his name was Ernest.
Yeah, I got that.
Let me see. Hold on. Yes, that is the same guy.
It is? Okay.
It is the same guy. So I'm like, why is he? But it's like he's a ghost. He's a ghost in the first episode, and he kills himself in the third one. I don't know if it's meant to be the same character, but I know that Atlanta has enough money to pay the people.
Yeah, they could have got someone else, but maybe it was a point.
And his name is Ern, so it's like it's a way to connect the main cast to
him,
to this story, but also he just knows shit, and then he disappears. It's like after he has served his purpose, he either turns into a monster, or
he's like we call him a spirit, walking spirit. He's there but not there.
Yeah, like
it'd be funny if he shows up again.
Yeah, like he's just teaching people the things. He comes in like he is a history book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because we usually think of that as like the magical Negro type thing, or
Yes.
the older
Like an
black
oracle.
person who's going to give you advice. The only reason this black person is there is to give you some old wisdom.
Like
They're
Morgan
only
Freeman
there
type.
in service of you. It's like this man has only been there to like spit the gospel. Child, what are your predictions? Do you think we'll be back with the regular cast later on in
Episode 5, hopefully. This episode ended with Minnie Riperton, Le Fleur, which is a song about a flower like blooming and blossoming. And I love the song. I'm trying to figure out why it was appropriate for this episode, because this is not the reparations I want to see. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more Atlanta episode reviews. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Curry Gumbo. Bye.